I'm joined now by the Shadow Justice Secretary, Steve Reed, for some more on this. So, Steve, good morning to you, first of all.
Good morning to you.
Let's just pick up, if we can, on those price rises. I mean, we've seen some ideas coming in as to how to deal with it. Do you support this idea of just not bringing that price rise in when the new price cap is made on the 26th of October? August, sorry.
Labour's going to bring forward a full package of proposals in the next few days, so we'll see entirely what our package will be. But the point is, we've got a zombie government that's gone slow at every single stage of this growing crisis over the last year. Labour proposed a windfall tax on the surplus profits of the energy companies nearly a year ago. Initially, the government said they would never do that, and then they U-turned, but they haven't done that properly because it turns out there's a great big loophole in the middle of it. And for every pound that the energy companies are investing, they get a 91p subsidy back from the taxpayer. Now, that is money, and it'll amount to billions of pounds. That is money that could be being used to help families who are right now seeing their energy bills rocket to an eye-watering extent from about £1,000 on average a year ago. We just saw the figures that you put up on the screen there. The projection for next April is that they will hit £4,500 on average. Now, millions of families are desperately worried that they will be going into debt just to pay their energy bills over this winter. And instead of doing anything to help, this government they've got Sunak and Truss fighting each other like rats in a sack, and the government doing absolutely nothing about coming up with proposals for how they can help people face this crisis, which is looming and terrifying.
I mean, families are already in debt because of the bills that they're facing. And you say that the Labour Party is going to come forward with some proposals in the next few days. I've been asking all week for you guys to come forward with proposals, but Gordon Brown seems to. I mean, is he the leader for the period while Sir Keir Starmer's on holiday?
I mean, it's always interesting to hear what Gordon Brown has got to say. He's a very senior figure from, he's a former Labour Prime Minister. As I say,
he's leading your policy right now this week when we're going through this crisis.
Well, we'll see our policy over the next few days. That will be brought out in full. The key problem here is that we've got a government that seems to be like a zombie government. It's time they got off the slab and started focusing on what they can do to help the British people right now. But instead of that, Labour will be coming up with our proposals next week. Truss and Sunak are saying they're going to do nothing, not even look at it until September. What is the point of having a government if they're not going to help through a crisis like this?
Well, look, the point being made by Gordon Brown is that crises don't take holidays. Sir Keir Starmer is on holiday, and he's the one who's leading the charge for the Labour Party right now. No,
Labour's going to come up with a fully costed package of proposals for how we will help British people within the next few days. Next week is when we'll bring that forward. The government are meeting, the Chancellor's meeting the energy companies today, and bizarrely, they've been trailing that they're not going to take any decisions from that meeting. One of the things they could do is to close that tax loophole, and instead of subsidising energy companies that are making so much money they don't know what to do with it, use that money to give help to the British people now.
Steve Reed, as you rightly know, that loophole, as you call it, they'd say it's to make sure that these companies keep investing. Well, we don't need to.
It's nothing of the sort, is it? Because their investment decisions are taken years in advance. So all they're doing is subsidising them for decisions they took years ago. That money should be helping British people. Now, if your energy bill is going to go up from £1,000 to £4,500 in 6 months, how on earth are people going to pay that? You're looking at nearly a third of the British people going into debt because of this. We need the government to focus on this problem, not watch Sunak and Truss fight each other like rats in a sack when we should be having a government that's focused on the problems of the British people.
You said the Labour Party is going to come with a package of proposals. Would one of them be to renationalise these companies if the price keeps rising?
That's something that Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer have both said we're not looking at the moment. I mean, if there is money available, then we need to be using it to help British people right now. Nationalising companies costs an awful lot of money. I'd rather that we're looking at what we can do to help British people, and we have to do that responsibly within the funding that is available. There will, as I say, be a full package brought forward in the next few days. You'll hear more about it over the weekend. I'm sure you'll have me or my colleagues on the show to talk about it. But what you won't have is anyone from the government saying what they're going to do, because they intend to sit on their hands for another month.
I've already given the government a hard time about this, and I will continue to do that throughout the day if I can. Let's move on to strike action now. The Labour Party, of course, are in a difficult position when it comes to strikes. There's a strike coming from postal workers. We've got a barrister strike ongoing at the moment. Where do you stand on the barrister strike as Shadow Justice Secretary? Would you join them on the picket?
Well, I don't see why you say the Labour Party is in a difficult position on the strikes. Because
I think a lot of unions who are backing the strikes, who have balloted their members, would like to see the Labour Party full-throatedly backing the workers and fighting for them to get...
I'm a former trade union shop steward myself. The role of a trade union is to get out there and to fight for their workers, including on the picket line when their workers choose to go on strike. The Labour Party is now preparing to enter government. It is not our job to stop the British people going to work. It is our job to demonstrate that we fully understand the immense pressures that this Tory-generated cost of living crisis is putting on household budgets, and demonstrate what we can do to help. Now, in terms of the strikes themselves, I've been absolutely astonished that the government has just sat back and refused to get involved and to try and help negotiate a solution to the problems, whether it's the trains, whether it's the barristers. Time and time again, they just step back. Nothing to do with me, Gov. You know, what's the point of having a government if they're not going to help with the energy crisis, if they're not going to help with the cost of living crisis, if they're not going to help resolve the strikes that are happening, frankly, because the government has allowed this cost of living crisis to spiral out of control. It's the government that needs to be doing things right now. Labour will be demonstrating next week that we have the ideas and a plan to help the British people, while the government is doing absolutely diddly squat.
Right, Steve Reed, Shadow Justice Secretary. Look forward to hearing those ideas next week, you said.
Absolutely.
Next few days, next week.
That's it.
We'll wait. All right, thank you very much.